And hey, everybody, how we doing this fine Friday night? I hope everybody's having a great night out there. I see Debos Nation, Six State AZ, Nakoti, Katie D, Orange Cones, Natasha Jones, the Mad Smoker, Baby Doll Ironton, Daisy, Marilyn Owens, Tag Bag Hall Repeat, aka the Last Responder, Kelly Fitzpatrick, Jarvizda. Oh, let's see, Nakoti, Dirty Old Man, and that's all I can see at the moment, guys. Like I said, hopefully everybody's having a fine Friday night. Everybody, I think, on this channel especially, has heard the story of Tina Slay Richardson and her son Caleb. If not, we'll hear a little bit more about that tonight. But I wanted to have her back to do an update. There are brand new things happening in her family's life, and I figured we would have her back and talk a little bit about that. So please welcome to the show Tina Slay Richardson and her husband, I believe, Daniel Richardson. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is Daniel. Everybody gets to see Daniel now. See, he does exist. I am married.
So there really is a Mr. Tina out there then, huh?
He told you, Terry.
Right?
He told you. So
how are you? How have you been? How are you?
So a week ago yesterday, I got to meet my new attorneys for the first time. Daniel and I sat down with them for... Gosh, I was with them for about 4 to 5 hours. Daniel had to go to bed early because he had to get up and work. So he was there a couple of hours. And they also brought their own cameraman. They are documenting everything from start to finish, behind the scenes, updates, progress reports. You can actually follow my attorney on Instagram. I don't know if he's got a YouTube. He's got a YouTube, but I don't know if it's on his YouTube. And Facebook. Does he have Facebook? I think he has Facebook. But I think, Terry, you have that video that they shot.
I do.
So
if you would like to watch that, I can play that now.
I think we should watch that first,
and
then we'll go from there.
And then we'll watch your follow up to it. But here comes that video first.
Gets out of his car.
Caleb's at his front door.
So he's still basically crossing the track.
He didn't even cross. He crossed the yard. He was going to the house. And I know that video is really dark.
You know, I think the thing that bothers me,
Go ahead, Terry.
if we start having problems talking over each other, I apologize. It's my streaming. It sucks tonight. The weather's terrible here, and I'm having a lot of Wi-Fi problems. So if we run into that, please excuse me. I think the first thing that saddens me watching that is I see that they go to the end of the block and turn left. And from there, I could about throw a rock and hit the side of the Mercy Hospital building. Like it is right there.
Right.
I'm sorry, Tina, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please go right ahead.
And it was hard to see because they were only here for that night. So I went today during the daylight because everybody has to understand this happened about 3:20 in the afternoon. And Caleb was pronounced dead at 3:48 p.m. And he laid in his front yard, handcuffed face down for 15 minutes with no medical attention from police officers or paramedics. They just let him die. And so I went today, and I think Terry has that. You guys could see it daylight.
So are you ready now to see the daylight travel from where he was actually pronounced dead and how far the hospital is in the daylight? Here we go, guys. Watch this.
All right, everybody. What
Yeah,
I'm
he was
going to do
pronounced
is I'm
dead where
going
they
to show
shot
you something. You see this patch right here? You see this car right here? Right here is where Casey Ray was. Right there where that trash can is, just on the other side of that tree, is where my son lost his life. So now it is 5:04 p.m. on Friday, and I'm going to drive down this road because I know that during the dark it was hard to see. Now understand, that's 4 houses from the major street that I just left. I want to show you in real time exactly what it would have taken to get to Mercy ER. If I'd gone the other way, it could have been quicker. But let me just show you. So here's the stop sign. I'm at Cherokee and Maryland Avenue for anybody who wants to Google Earth this. I've made one turn because I have a stop sign. Now understand, I'm not running lights and sirens. I'm driving normally. It's not raining in the video for my attorney. It's not doing any of the sort. But looky here. There's Mercy Hospital. All I have to do is get through this nice little light right here. It's 5:05. Look at this. And there's the emergency room. That's how close my son was to help. My son sat on that ground for 15 minutes, fighting to breathe. 15 minutes.
I want to say not only is it ridiculous that it took a minute or less to drive there, I could have picked the kid up and damn near carried him there in less than 5. It's like right there. You know, it's like right there. And that is terrible to come to that realization. Of course, I never knew that until I saw these videos.
It literally,
you know.
It just blows your mind when you can actually see it for yourself. You know, I can sit here and tell you all about it. I can go over it, but when you physically see these today, are you in 2 years? 2.5 years, yeah. And I hear the rain, Terry. I hear the rain.
Yes, it's getting bad. It's causing me a lot of connection issues.
In 2.5 years, I felt like I agreed. So, they went over the police report, as you could see in the video. I had the police report. We were over things, notes. And I'm going to stop my cam and see if that helps with the buffering. Maybe not. You get it?
I don't know, but apparently it's causing me a big lag on this end, I guess.
There.
Can you still hear me okay out there?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Hopefully everybody else can hear us. Like I said, Mother Nature does not like me, so when she found out I was going live tonight, she decided to pour it on. So here it comes. But we'll try to trudge through it here the best we can.
So they're taking the case. They've taken the case. I do have to watch the things that I say. There are things I can't talk about. But 15 minutes with no medical attention, ladies and gentlemen, is just the tip of the iceberg with this case.
With them sitting there beside him.
With
The ambulance sitting right beside him.
Right. With medical personnel on scene, because they were on scene after. So 5 minutes after he was shot, medical personnel on the scene, and nobody provided any first aid to Caleb whatsoever. And one of the officers, there's video of one of the officers either spitting on Caleb or saying something to him as he's laying there dying. Reported. So it's pretty bad. Tip of the iceberg. Those two attorneys are partners in Burris, Nisenbaum, Curry, and Lacey. That was Ben Nisenbaum and John is very familiar because John Burris represents Rodney King, so they're California, not from Missouri. Yeah. So if you understand anything about how officers required in order to keep their badge, part of that is first aid training. There's a national standard regarding giving first aid to somebody, especially if they shot them. And when they don't, they can lose their badge over it. And nobody provided him anything. They let him lie. He was breathing his own blood. So there's going to be a lot of lawsuits, not just one, multiple. My understanding is we're looking not federal, but state. And it's going to be against a lot of people. Quite a few, as a matter of fact. So if anybody has any questions, that's the update. I could tell you so much more. There are a lot of things I cannot talk about until it's fully vetted, until they get certain evidentiary product. But yeah, I can breathe. I don't know. Can you breathe a little bit better? A little better?
They were definitely on the ball. They definitely had their shit together, basically.
In order to cover it up, not to save my son.
No.
So we're actually getting a bit of a look into some really bad policing is what we are getting.
Some very, very, very bad policing.
On many people, not just one or two, but every one of them that was on scene.
The other lawyers, Lurker, strung me along for 18 months, told me they didn't think there was a case, failed to disclose that they also represented the sheriff of Greene County, failed to disclose that the paralegal worked with one of these agents that's involved with the Springfield Police Department. So am I sad to see them go? They did me a favor. They did me a huge favor.
Sometimes you
The
find that some
lawsuits
of
have-
these attorneys don't exactly have your best interests at heart, do they? And then, of course, the
No.
law enforcement community that we expect to be the heroes, they sometimes damn sure don't have your best interests at heart. They have their interests at heart. They give a shit less about you.
I will tell you that I am fairly confident that a lawsuit will be filed before May 1st. Do I know the exact date? I do not. I just know that there will be something filed before May 1st. So.
Well, as for the question that dumbass came live to ask and used words that just helped me hate him anymore, this is what she's doing for her dead kid, Chili. This is what she's doing for him. She's doing what any mother would do, you dumbass. I'm sorry, Tina, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just kind of had to throw that in there since he asked.
Keep going. Keep going. I'll slide in there with you.
I could rant and rave about his dwarf little ass all day long. I've told everybody I want to do for him what his father never did. I want to bend him over my knee and bust his little ass with a belt and teach him something. Teach him how to be a man, because apparently his daddy didn't do that.
No.
His mom should have swallowed.
Oh.
Well, maybe she did. Maybe she did. And this was the result. You know, maybe that's what happens when you swallow. I don't know. I'd say the best part definitely. I'd say the best part of him definitely run down the crack of her ass and became a brown stain on the bottom of the sheet. That's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, Frankie. Haven't seen you in a while. I see my biggest fan, Kyle Wellman, is in the chat, who only comes out when he likes to make fun of me. So great to see you, Kyle.
You have a history with Kyle, I take it.
Oh, yeah. Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I only see Kyle every once in a while, so.
This is the man that threw Chili out of our house. You're taller than he is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How tall are you?
5'8", 5'9".
Something like that. Chili's short.
And I'm 5'4", and he's only an inch or two taller than I am. He's really not very big at all. He looks big on camera, but he ain't no bigger than a minute steak. I promise you that. Wouldn't take a minute to fry his ass up. Guarantee it.
Oh, hi, Chris. I know who you are.
He didn't sit and argue very much.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he didn't have much to say to me either whenever he had the opportunity. We were face to face, and he backed up a lot further than I did, I promise you. I don't take too kindly to bullies either. So I have some, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Start with the slides. Go ahead and start with the slides, because I know you got some slides to show everybody.
I do, and if I can get them up here, I'll let you narrate and read as you wish.
So this is the prosecuting attorney of Greene County. His name is Dan Patterson. And this is not my post. This is someone else, Alyssa Wagner. She says, I don't believe my opinion of Greene County, Missouri prosecutor Dan Patterson will ever change. I've seen him justify every officer involved killing that hits his desk. Looking at the investigation into the DEA killing with Caleb Slay, every witness contradicts the story the DEA agents give. But does Dan Patterson care? Nope. And Trump for life, if I didn't have a case, these attorneys would not come here from California. They wouldn't waste their time.
No.
Would be no reason to, would there?
Nope, not a bit. This is Detective Kelly Patton. Detective Kelly Patton on your left. And this is Agent John Stewart on the only interview he gave the police department. He was allowed to wear his hat. He was not asked to remove it. And that's John Stewart, the senior agent in this whole case. He spent 11 years with the Springfield Police Department and 11 years with the DEA. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the face of a killer. This is Anthony Gasparoni, who had only been with the DEA for less than 18 months. And understand, this is a DEA task force that is duly sworn into the Springfield Police Department as well as the DEA. So they serve a dual purpose. This man graduated from the police, Missouri in 2016. This is Chief Paul Williams, and this is Sheriff Jim Arnott.
We'll be seeing some statements from the sheriff himself, will we not?
That's correct. Hey, Sav, what's up? Sav, this is my husband, Daniel. Daniel, Sovereign Soul. I know you can't see him. Hi, Art. So I went to a town hall meeting, and I think you're going to, go back one more, go back. Went too far. There we go. This is from the Springfield News Leader. Oh, no, one more. Got to go back.
Hold on a second. I'm trying. Having some technical difficulties here. I'm working on it. Every time I touch something, it lags. Nothing wants to work right.
The reason this is important is because you guys are going to see. Oop, go back. You're going forward.
Well, that's because I have to get back. That's the problem.
Oh, the sheriff.
I think
he was wearing a black and white striped uniform because of the polar plunge. Okay, stop.
He was.
Yeah. So this was a.
I'll get it here in a second. I promise.
Yep, there it is. So, speaking in September, Queen City Watchdog Town Hall on crime in Springfield, Arnott suggested his powers could be very strong at the local level. At the town hall, Arnott was asked to investigate an alleged misdeed of the Springfield Police Department. Hey, you know who brought that up? While saying there was no such malfeasance at SPD, Arnott told the crowd, the sheriff can step in any jurisdiction within his county and take over if something becomes totally corrupt. Now we can go to the next one.
And so that was him, I assume, saying that about himself. Is that not? That is the sheriff talking about his own police powers, yes?
Correct.
Now if we can find the...
Absolutely.
There you go. There he is talking a little more about it.
In the county, above the highway patrol of any police department, your elected sheriff in the nation is the highest law enforcement officer because they're the only enforcement person elected by the people. At the meeting, Arnott said the bottom line is the buck stops with the sheriff in America, and the sheriff is basically always responsible for anything happening in their county. Now you're going to see some emails that I get from the sheriff after people reached out to him. Oh, that's the second one.
That is, if I can find them in the right order here, I'm going to try.
So people started emailing the elected sheriff, an elected official, telling him that he needed to look. This was the first email. Tina, I'm not sure why I'm receiving messages, some hateful about your case. I would appreciate it if you put something out to have it stop. I don't looking into it, but it appears you have asked people to contact me. Sheriff.
I don't looking into it. I assume he's trying to say I'm not looking into it. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
We should have kicked it up.
So,
obviously, he wasn't looking into it, or he would have known you didn't ask anybody to contact him. That was the other moron that started that whole cascade of events, I would imagine.
So
Chili and his help.
This is a direct result of what happens when Chili DeCastro gets involved. Because Chili DeCastro asked his following to contact and harass this sheriff. So then he says, I don't mind looking at it as a favor to you, but I won't if I continue to get hate mail and people trying to influence me. Now remember, Chili sent people to Sheriff Arnott, who said, the buck stops with me. So then I respond, Sheriff, I'm an ordinary citizen whose only son was executed in his front yard almost a year ago. One that wanted to work for your department. All I ask is elected officials do the job they were elected for. I have dealt with unethical and unscrupulous behavior since the brutal and preventable murder of my son on the part of people I didn't elect. So you are saying that concerned citizens with a voice need to stop contacting you or you will not investigate. Now let's see what Mr. Arnott, the sheriff, the elected official, then responds. Now it's I won't investigate it. Our conversation was that I would look into it for you. The elected prosecutor has reviewed it, which you failed to tell me, which I did not. I am not investigating it as it has been. I will review it as I said. Go ahead and put out your false, misleading information if that's your desire. Desire. Yeah. The sheriff. And then he followed it up with one more email. Well, it sounds like your threats need to be taken up with the prosecuting attorney. I didn't say anything else. Could somebody show me where I threatened the sheriff of Greene County? Anybody?
Apparently, he's talking about all the other people that had called and emailed, and due to the other moron creating a ripple.
But this is the effect that happens when Chili DeCastro tries to help you. He doesn't get the blowback. You don't see the sheriff of Greene County going after Chili.
So how much help did you get from Chili?
I did not. None. And Chili,
he showed up.
Really clear.
He showed up. He stirred the pile, and he made a bunch of money, and then ran away, as is his normal MO. Is that correct?
That's correct. And Chili likes to take credit for people knowing anything about this case. No. I was on the Anthony Rogers show weeks before I knew who Chili DeCastro was. Anthony Rogers is a local podcaster, YouTuber from St. Louis, Missouri. And I sent Terry the link, and if anybody wants the link, I'll send it to you. So
I think I can be confident in saying that it was not Chili DeCastro that made Caleb Slay famous. It was quite the other way around, because of Caleb and because of Tina. Especially whenever I came to know her, she kind of blew up through the entire community, and that indeed is what made Chili as famous as he claims that he is. It's not because of the good that he has done for anybody. It's because he runs around like a 10-year-old child in bad need of an ass busting, creating nothing but problems for everybody that he runs into. Everybody that he's went to help is now worse off for his help. All you have to do is go start looking at all the people that he helped. Talk to them. I did. You'd be greatly surprised to find out that they are worse off now than they would have been had they ever had zero contact with Jose DeCastro. However, I will say that it is kind of a blessing in disguise that things happened out the way they did, because I would have never met you, Tina. I would have never come to know your story, and I would have never gotten the inspiration that I have gotten from you and this story had it not been for that idiot. So thank him in a very small way for bringing it to my attention. But just so everybody understands that he got his attention from this community, not the other way around. He didn't get our attention with this story. This story got our attention, and because he was knee deep in the shit, we recognized he was there. That's how that actually happened. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood where that actually came from.
Right. And I know people have heard me sing the praises of Mr. Checkpoint, Senate, Always Film the Police, who is another auditor and an activist, a true activist. If it wasn't for Senate, I would not have been introduced to DeWitt Lacey. So you want to talk about somebody who helps? How many attorneys has Chili introduced to his community? How many real people has he introduced to actually physically get in there, roll up their sleeves, and help with their problem? He has not offered any help. Any fool can raise money. Any fool can grift. Real work requires real dedication. It requires knowing the right people who can help for the situation. And Chili doesn't have any of that. Period. So thank you, Senate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will always be so appreciative to Senate and everything that he's done for me. He's sharing Caleb's story. He has a much larger following than Chili. A lot of you will recognize him. He was in Chili's Joke of a D-Law short. He is not affiliated with Chili. He is not associated with Chili. subscribe to his channel. He's on IG, TikTok, YouTube, because he's going to be starting to put out a lot of information about what happened with Caleb. And he's also working with Families United. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'd encourage everybody to follow DeWitt Lacey on every social media you've got. Just like and follow everything that they do. They're posting a lot.
Do you possibly have a link available, Tina? If you do, you could throw it in the private chat. I can throw it out there in the regular chat.
Let me hold on. I gotta go find it.
If you'll hold the fort here for just a second, I'm going to step away. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm holding the fort. This is a good, scary thing. This is a very scary thing. These guys are amazing.
They mean business. They know what they're doing. All the support comments that they can get will just help them go even farther. So if everybody could just follow them.
Yeah, because they are some of the best.
I was thoroughly impressed, and I don't like attorneys. I don't like politicians. I don't like anybody typically. And these guys were definitely impressive.
Oh, yeah. And, oh, crap, I'm not on. I'm going to send it to you in Discord, Terry, because I can't. Terry, I'm going to send it to you in Discord because I'm sending it from my phone.
I got you.
But
okay. I'll find it here, I think.
Let me find him on here. Lacey. He hasn't posted this to his YouTube yet, but
is it an Instagram link that I'm looking for?
That's an Instagram link, yes. And then I'm going to send you his YouTube link.
That way, Art.
What did Art say? Oops, Art. Oh, Art.
That's funny.
There's his. That. And then
There's
some ugly storms. Then let me find you. Let me find you Mr. Checkpoint because.
All right, there is the Instagram link and the YouTube link of. Is it DeWitt Lacey? Am I saying that correct?
Yes.
Or Lacey DeWitt, I guess it's just written backwards there, so it'd be Lacey DeWitt, I assume.
It's DeWitt Lacey.
DeWitt Lacey.
It's DeWitt Lacey.
Yeah. They were
DeWitt Lacey. Okay, there we go. Just making sure, but both are there.
Yeah, Ben Nussbaum doesn't have a public profile. And then I just sent you Mr. Checkpoint's YouTube. He's also on TikTok and Instagram. I'll send you his Instagram because he's starting to share things about Caleb. There's going to be some things coming out that's going to just blow your mind. Until they're ready to come out with it, I can't. But when it becomes very public, my friend Jolly, the good ginger, is going to make it publicer, as he says. And it will make a lot of police brutality stories that you have heard. It pales in comparison. It really, really, truly does. And
of course, I assume once this information goes public, you're going to let me know, and I'll be able to clue everybody else in and make sure they get a link to where they need to go to find out.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's not that they don't believe me because everything that I pointed out to them was in the police report. There were a few things that weren't in the police report, but they were in witness statements. And they have to vet that information. They're doing some scene recreation, but everything is not as it seems. And I don't know how much I can say without getting in trouble, but everything is not as it seems. And once it does, I think that people at the Springfield Police Department are going to lose their job. I think the citizens of Springfield are going to have a rude awakening. And a lot of people are not going to feel safe with the current leadership in which we have. So we hope anyway. It is difficult, orange cones, to filter what I can say and what I can't say. Get down, cat. Because believe me, I want to tell everybody. I really, really want to tell everybody. I want to tell you exactly what happened to my son. And understand what I've told you so far was from the police report. And it was so refreshing to hear these two bar licensed attorneys telling me, the national media and the citizens of Springfield, you're reading the comments.
Quiet today.
Should be scared. And that I'm not just acting as an emotional mother. I'm actually factually basing everything I say based on their own investigation. And then there's a few things that they didn't investigate, and that's what I can't talk about.
Yeah.
So, what led up to making contact with my son? I can tell you that. That I can tell you because I've already told everybody before. If you watch the video from my attorneys, they saw from a Walmart parking lot what they considered a hand-to-hand drug sale between two individuals in a red Pontiac G6. A guy walked up to the red Pontiac G6, bent over. They claim it appeared to be a hand-to-hand drug sale. The G6 takes off. The guy walking takes off on foot. They follow the G6. They couldn't find him. When they did find the G6 finally, it was parked at a house and no driver in the car. So they go back to the Walmart neighborhood marketplace, and that's where they witness Casey Ray in a known drug apartment, sitting in a rented U-Haul Ford F-150 pickup truck. Not a box truck, a pickup truck. So they observe him, and all he does, and I really want you to pay attention, all Casey Ray does is get out of the Ford F-150 and he goes to an apartment door. He knocks on it. No one answers. He goes back to the U-Haul. He waits 5 to 10 minutes. He goes from the U-Haul back to the apartment door. And John Stewart said the door opened and Casey stood in the doorway. Tony Gasparoni says he went into the apartment and the door shut. From there, Casey Ray leaves the apartment, gets back in his U-Haul pickup, and drives away and heads over to meet up with his friend Eddie, who happens to be at my son's house. There's no connection between Casey Ray and Caleb other than Eddie, who was there to work on a car stereo with Caleb. And they made contact with Casey Ray and didn't claim they didn't see Caleb and Eddie sitting in the car in front of Caleb's house. That's what led them to the neighborhood. So my question for all of you out there, tell me what it is, point out to me, that gave them any right to make any contact with Casey Ray whatsoever. Or Caleb.
But
they didn't witness Casey Ray do anything wrong except go to an apartment, go to a truck, go to apartment, go back to the truck and drive. They had no lights in their vehicle. They were in unmarked vehicles that are set up for surveillance only. So can anyone tell me what gave them any legal reason for contact?
Absolutely zero reason.
Caleb had stopped to go inside.
Yeah, Caleb
Right.
was going to his house.
And they stopped him from going into his house.
And asked him to come back.
Come back. Why would they even ask him to do anything?
And by the way, this is not a Terry stop. Terry says you have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion. And that would be they had to see Casey Ray break the law at any capacity. He didn't do anything. Casey Ray didn't do anything wrong either.
And the two boys were just there working on a car.
Now remember, We are talking about not beat police officers. We are talking about DEA task force, where the rules are a lot different than they are for regular police officers. DEA officers are not supposed to make contact with anybody who did a hand-to-hand drug sale. They're supposed to observe, surveil, notice, and go after the bigger fish.
Caleb did not run. He did not resist.
He complied.
He was complying.
As a matter of fact, to start the cover-up, they tell the news media, which you can all Google this. You can Google this. They said Caleb interfered with a DEA drug investigation, that he approaches them and involved himself in this.
Now, there's several eyewitnesses that saw all of this happen.
4.
And there was no interaction. Caleb was trying to go inside into his house, and they stopped him.
And he came back and he complied.
And he thought he would go back and find out what they wanted. And then after that,
it escalated on their part, not his.
Yes.
Because 4 eyewitnesses, 4, I haven't counted Casey Ray.
Mm-mm.
You want to count Casey Ray? That's
5.
5 eyewitnesses. Caleb complied. Oh, and by the way, Tony Gasparoni, in the only interview he gave, told Detective Kelly Patton that Caleb complied. And Detective Kelly Patton tried so hard to get him to say, no, he wasn't complying. And he goes, yeah, he was complying. But the DA, the prosecuting attorney, said that the 2 officer statements and the eyewitness, they only got 2 out of 4 eyewitnesses, that 2 of the eyewitnesses, that their statements plus Casey Ray, so 3, matched equally with the 2 DEA officers. And guess what? They don't. They don't match at all. So Caleb complied. He came back. The guy said, I need to see your hands. Caleb put his hands just like this. 4 eyewitnesses confirm this. 4 eyewitnesses. Sir, my gun is in my front right waistband. Please remove it for your safety and mine. And
that's from the eyewitnesses.
And 13 seconds later, Caleb has 2 gunshots in the back of his head. 13 seconds later.
From behind his head.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the officer was standing behind him.
And above him. Because the bullet trajectory went down, forward, and ended up here in his right cheek. And again, I wish I could tell you more at this particular juncture, but I can't. It gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets a whole lot worse. So Caleb gets shot at point blank range, less than 2 centimeters away because of the stipling on the back of his head. He gets handcuffed and they walk away.
They handcuffed him after they shot him.
Mm-hmm. After they removed the weapon, didn't remove the handcuffs, and left him there. And John Stewart...
To drown in his own blood.
And John Stewart goes and calls 911. And this is in the transcript. 911 officer says, is he breathing? And he goes, he is for the moment. He's not dead yet. And she says, well, I need to transfer you to medical so that they can walk you through. He goes, I don't want to talk to medical. I want to talk to my supervisor. Transfer me to my supervisor. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call my supervisor.
25.
25.
Yeah.
25. So John Stewart made no effort to do anything. Made no effort and insisted he wasn't going to talk to medical. Medical showed up less than 5 minutes. Actually 4.5 from the initial 911 call, because John Stewart wasn't the only one who called. 5 minutes. And Caleb was dead 15 minutes after being shot. No one provided medical attention. Not one solitary person at all.
Fubar, we're trying to get the truth out there. we don't mind any hard questions. If we can answer them, we will.
There will be a lawsuit. I cannot comment if there's video. That's a very good question. That's a very good question to ask.
Yeah. And there is gotta be
The
lawsuits.
DEA at the time were not required to wear body cameras, but that's all I can say. They didn't have body cameras. But that's not to say that they didn't have anything else. So this is the worst case of police brutality that I've ever heard.
Needless to say,
In the last few
when
years.
all this is over, we're out of Springfield.
Yeah.
We ain't coming back.
No.
And yes, he was cremated.
Yeah. Caleb was cremated. There is video, audio of the autopsy. Lawsuits will be filed by May 1st of this year. We don't have to wait a long time. And I did use the word lawsuits because there's going to be more than one.
There's federal and state.
Correct. Federal and state. And I was on scene. I was on scene within 8 minutes of Caleb being shot. I was on scene while my son was still breathing.
And they wouldn't let us up.
And they would not let us up. And I could not go and hold my son's hand while he died. So, Scumdog, what you read is not the truth. Just know that is their narrative. But even in the police report, it contradicts that narrative.
So their own report proves that they do nothing but lie from the beginning to the end. And pretty much everybody that stuck a hand into this case has ended up pulling back a dirty hand and trying to hide it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Caleb was a wrestler.
I would like to take a quick second.
Was.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Scumdog asked if he was a wrestler. He was.
I just wanted to take a quick second and thank you for being here, you and Daniel both. I appreciate it. Daniel, it's the first time that I have met you. Tina, I have met before. You know, we kind of know each other, and everybody out there, I'm pretty sure, knows Tina pretty well. We all have a special place in our heart for Tina. All of us fell in love with Tina and her story, and we all look to her for inspiration. And I just wanted to say thank you for being here, and thank you for coming too, Daniel. I appreciate y'all being here. I know it's tough. I know it's hard to answer the questions. I just wanted to say thank you for coming here to update us on everything that's going on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, this is not about money. This is about accountability. This is about justice and what is right. I support law enforcement. I do. I don't support corrupt law enforcement. I don't support bad policing. And this is bad policing. So
It appears as if Daniel has an admirer as well.
Scumdog, he was a wrestler from elementary school all the way through high school. As a matter of fact, I gave Chad Gu one of his wrestling medals when I went to Ironton the last time for the fight that didn't happen. And Chad has it in his police car and takes it with him when he goes on patrol. But Caleb's favorite sport, he only did wrestling to keep in shape for football. Football was his favorite sport. Hi, EB Joe.
He was a D lineman.
Yeah, he was a
Played
D
it very
lineman.
well.
And he was an O lineman when he needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when he graduated from high school, he switched sports altogether and became a cheerleader.
Smart man.
Because he said, Mom, why would I want to play football and look at guys' butts when I can hold a girl by her butt? So,
And I agree with him. That is a great idea. I don't know why more of us didn't think of that.
He definitely had more fun playing or being a cheerleader than he did football.
Yeah. He had a lot more fun.
Or wrestling with another dude.
Yeah.
You know, I actually tried to do that in middle school, but no other guy in the whole school would go out with me. And of course, they had no use for just one. If I could have gotten one more, it would have been all right. But, I was the only one willing. So that didn't happen.
So, yeah. And in case everybody thought that Caleb might have not had experience with police officers, Caleb worked at a popular nightclub for about 6, almost 7 years. He was head of security. He worked with
most of the
Springfield police officers. And I'm sure at some point with John Stewart. He knew all of the marshals. He knew all of the undercover drug agents because they all came down. Springfield is the 3rd largest city, but when it comes to clubs for the college kids to go to, we have very slim pickings. And he was, oh, hi, Sue.
Hey, Soupy.
He was head of security for the most popular nightclub in Springfield. So he worked with these officers. He knew how to do. They knew him by name. There's still officers that still know who Caleb is.
Roseanne, please be safe out there.
Yes. We're watching it on Daniel's phone, and let me just tell you, y'all out there, because it's past us, you need to be taking shelter if you're in the line of the storm. Just saying.
There's some rough stuff going on.
Did he? Yes, he did, Scumdog. As a matter of fact, the reason he quit being head of security, one of the reasons, is because Caleb wanted to be a police officer. He wanted to get his degree. He had been going to college. He has his associate arts degree. Thought he was going to go into business. And he said, you know what? I've decided. This was after George Floyd. And after witnessing actual officers in Springfield doing lines of cocaine while on duty in uniform behind the bar that he was at. Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh. And involved with sex-trafficked women, he said, Mom, I've got to make a change. I've got to change this. This isn't right. He said, good people are getting hurt, and the police officers are responsible, and they're not protecting citizens. I think I want to go get my degree in criminology and go through the academy, and I want to be a police officer, and I want to change it from the inside out. And I said, Caleb, you're just one person. You are never, you can't shoulder all of this. I mean, he literally would come over here and cry. He would, it bothered him so bad. He would come over here in tears. This big 6'2", 265 person that looks all mean, rough, and tough. And he said, and he would cry like a baby. And he would say, you don't understand, Mom. I watched an officer walk away from. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Marilyn.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Marilyn, we're
very, very sorry. Walk away from a drug dealer beating up a customer, and a police officer was standing right there witnessing it, and the police officer turned around and walked away. And I can prove when it happened. I've got my own reasons of how I can prove it. But I'll be damned, ladies and gentlemen, if that police officer wasn't on scene the night my son was killed. They did. I'm not going to lie. They did. But he took Adderall. And it doesn't matter. Caleb could have done every drug under the sun. And it doesn't matter because they didn't know. In the 13 seconds.
Well, the death sentence, the death sentence is a little hard to mete out on the sidewalk due to a bad drug deal. I don't see how that's ever going to be justified as an end result of buying, doing, or selling drugs. Getting dead over it's a little different.
He was not acting erratically. He was not yelling or screaming. He wasn't wigging out. He wasn't tweaking. He was calm. No, the only raised voices that the 4 eyewitnesses heard came from the police officers. Caleb, all he kept doing was telling Tony Gasparoni, I'm right here. Please look at me in the eye. I'm not doing anything. I'm not resisting. I'm as he's got his hands out in front of him.
Now, bear in mind, Caleb was 6'2". Gasparoni was what, 5'6"? So Gasparoni was probably very intimidated by Caleb.
They actually said in the police report, John Stewart said, well, he was bigger than us.
Yeah, he could have beat the hell out of him, but he didn't.
He didn't do anything.
Yes, he was.
He was because Caleb knew how to de-escalate with his experience at the nightclub. He knew that escalation gets you hurt.
Yeah,
so he's trying to calm them down by getting them to make eye contact with him.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. Look me in the eye. Look at me. I'm right here. I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything wrong. Look at me. So he's trying to de-escalate the situation, and they're the ones that are amping it up, and they're the ones that escalated it, that resulted in the total and complete execution of my son.
I mean, to shoot him in the back of the head from above him when he was 5'6", he had to be on his knees being executed.
Yep.
There's no other way to.
He had a prescription for Adderall. He absolutely did.
Yes.
Because he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with adult ADD. He took 5 ants, it didn't work, so he took Adderall. So how anybody can say this is justified? My greatest moment talking to these 2 lawyers was I told them I wanted to send Dan Patterson a pair of reading glasses and a set of hearing aids because he didn't listen to any of the eyewitness statements, testimony, interviews. He didn't even read the police report. Hi, Jane. He didn't even read it. Not based on what he sent the chief of police. He didn't even read it. And you know what those attorneys said? We got your back. You let us handle that. Now, what they have in mind, I have no idea. I have some, I shouldn't say that. I have an idea, but I'm going to let them do their job. And I'm going to sit back and I'm just going to take a deep breath and finally relax for the first time in 2.5 years.
Yeah, it's in their hands now.
It's totally in their hands.
And we both feel pretty good that they're going to get the job done.
Right.
So
at least maybe now you can actually take a breath of relief. You know, instead of feeling like you're under the gun, being called a liar and all of those other things that you've probably had to endure from many, many people. It's nice to finally have some vindication, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
She can actually grieve now. She hasn't been able to do that for 2.5 years. And so now she can actually grieve and learn how to deal with it now. She hasn't even had time to do that yet.
No. And Fubar, I understand. Believe me, I've had people play devil's advocate. Even the attorneys played devil's advocate with me that night. I understand where you're coming from. I totally do. And when they would say, but what about this? I pulled out the police report. Honey, could you grab it? It's underneath Bridget's coat. Oh, God. Yeah, just watch the cord. Let me show you because
where is it?
It's right there underneath Bridget's. Yeah, right there. Because you guys saw this book in the video. This book with Caleb's picture. So this is the police report. And I don't know if you guys, let me see. Can you see all of these things? These are all of my notes. So every time they would ask me a question, I could flip to the page. And I could say, well, right here, see what this says? I know, backwards. Right here, see what this says? See what that says? And they were like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
This is all stuff she's worked on for 2.5 years. we were able to give the attorneys this much information, and they were in awe.
This is the first page of the report. And I'm going to read it to you because right here at the top, it says involved property. Right here where this little mark is. And here's the reason why. Computer items, tablet, lost. Microsoft Surface Pro, lost. Rifle shotgun combination pump action, Mossberg, lost. This is the involved property. This is what they took out of my son's home.
It had no right to even go in his home.
Well, they did because Dad gave them permission. I know. Dad gave them permission, but they took it. It's involved property. The Mossberg shotgun was pawned 3 weeks later.
This was checked into evidence.
And
then it winds up at a pawn shop.
And
how does that happen?
Correct. And the Sergeant Alexander with Internal Affairs of the Springfield Police Department, which is overseen by Chief Paul Williams, he tells Sergeant Alexander what to do, told me in a recorded phone conversation. Chief Williams says we are not going to investigate how a Mossberg got from our evidence room to a pawn shop. Just sue the city.
Yeah.
So they're passing the buck off onto taxpayers of Springfield, Missouri, because they don't want to investigate how involved property that they took possession of ends up at a pawn shop. Sit on that for a while. Caleb had no criminal history or no criminal record. Nope. Nothing involving drugs. He had a traffic ticket. That's it. He was speeding. That's it. He wasn't under investigation. He wasn't under anything. No, they did not. No, they did not. They made a lot of excuses. They said Caleb was reaching for his gun behind him, although his weapon was found in front.
Yeah, his weapon was right here in this front, and his hands were back behind him.
They said that he kept reaching behind him, and that's not where his gun was. The eyewitnesses said Caleb reached behind him with both hands and pulled his pants up because my son had no butt, and his pants fell down.
He had shorts on carrying a pistol.
Right.
They're going to go down.
Correct. And it wasn't a holster because Caleb never carried his gun without his holster because it would have literally made his pants completely fall down.
Which half the time they did.
With the holster, they still did.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the holster ends up in his car, not on him. And the eyewitnesses said, no, they pulled it out of his holster. So how does that happen?
We don't know why, Sue. 13 seconds later, he was dead. That's the only...
You know, Sue, that's a great question. That's a very, very good question. I can't answer you, but that's a very good question.
No, Sue, there's not.
There's not an excuse. There's not. Because they had multiple opportunity in that 13 seconds to remove the gun safely. Multiple opportunities. Multiple. So, and my sister can tell you.
Well, I think we can all say that there really wasn't much need for officer safety, apparently, from the eyewitness testimony and what we've heard from what little bit we've heard from the police report. I don't think there was ever a time when any officers were in danger, from what I understand.
Caleb made no threats. He complied, and he was calm and collected, and all he kept saying was, look at me, I'm standing right here. I'm not moving. I'm not resisting. I'm not here to fight you. I don't have any part of what's going on over there, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything.
No, Fubar. He never got anywhere near his weapon.
Nope. In the report, did the cops ever say, nope, He never touched it. And even they say he never touched it.
He asked them to remove it.
He asked them to remove it.
So.
4 eyewitnesses heard him say that. 4. One that was less than 5 feet away.
Yeah.
5 feet away from start to finish. And guess what person the police didn't interview? They didn't interview the one person that was less than 5 feet away from start to finish. Caleb's friend that was sitting in the car. Didn't interview him. He said, I don't want to talk to you without an attorney present. And they never asked him again. Never got his statement. The prosecuting attorney never saw his statement. And there are pictures that exist that the Springfield Police Department didn't take, and they don't know about them. They don't know anything about these pictures. Sorry, that's how it's supposed to go. Is police supposed to remove it? That's correct. Hey, Fubar.
Yep.
Please remove my gun. My wrists are together. My palms are up. Please remove it for my safety and yours. He was in the position for them to take it. He was waiting for them to cuff him. He was waiting. He wasn't resisting.
The single worst thing you could do is reach for your own weapon to remove it when there is a cop present. You keep your hands where they can see them and allow them to remove your weapon if you want it done safely.
They rolled him to his left side to remove his weapon after they shot him. But they didn't check for a pulse. Didn't check. Didn't provide medical treatment.
Yes, it was.
They did not identify themselves,
no.
By the way. They were in plain clothes. I think the statement was Gasparoni made contact with Caleb. Then he went back to his vehicle and pulled out his tactical vest and put it on. And Caleb said, well, that's professional.
Yeah.
And that sounds like Caleb. Well, that's professional. You should have had it on before you got out of the car. And they were asked, did you identify yourself as police? I don't recall doing it. That was their answer. Don't recall doing it.
John Stewart
said, I never heard Gasparoni identify himself. And Gasparoni said, I assumed he could read police across my tactical vest.
After he went and got it.
Right, after he went and got it. And that's according to Gasparoni. By the way, Susan Schuler is my sister. In case anybody wanted to know.
Soupy.
She's read it. She's read this report. The gun was found underneath him. That is correct. They rolled him over and removed it. The safety was on. But
where is it?
Where's the gun now?
Yeah. Do we have it?
We have it now. We have it now. Any responsible gun owner that carries, and by the way, Missouri is an open carry state, you carry one in the chamber. Mm-hmm. You do. You have the safety
Absolutely.
on it, and you have one in the chamber.
Right. It's like having a car crash and thinking you'll have time to put your seatbelt on.
Right.
You just don't. So you always have one in the chamber.
Well, FUBAR, they are and they aren't. If they are part of a DEA task force, they are duly sworn in, at least here, as a Springfield police officer and as a DEA agent. So they carry a federal badge and they carry a Missouri peace officer's badge. They have 2. And they serve on the task force with the Springfield Police Department as well as the Comet Task Force. Yeah, they claim that the gun Caleb was carrying that day was reported stolen. It's in the police report. Unfortunately for them, my father purchased it for Caleb at Academy Sports, and we have the original receipt. So I don't know how they're going to explain that one. So more of trying to CYA, maybe.
Yeah.
But
there's obviously a big A to see Y there.
Yeah. You think? Something like that anyway. Oh, that shoulder. Sorry.
Oh, everything hurts.
Sorry. Anybody else have any questions that I can attempt to answer? And Sue knows that. I mean, Sue knows a lot. Don't share everything, please, Sue. Will they lose it out of evidence? Well, they already have lost it out of evidence. They lost Caleb's laptop or his Surface Pro tablet. And why is that important? Caleb had 4 surveillance cameras. 4.
Disappeared.
And he had a DVR, but he bypassed his DVR and he stored every video on his Surface Pro tablet. His surveillance went to his tablet. So, why would it be beneficial for that tablet to go away?
Yep, they made it disappear.
They made it disappear. I don't investigate how they made it disappear or how it got lost or the value of it. Yeah. Well, Caleb went through gun safety training here in Missouri, and he was always told, put your wrists together, palms up, out in front of you, let them know that you carry, and tell them where your gun is located so they can remove it. Don't tense up. Be prepared to be handcuffed. It's for your safety. It's not a problem. I mean, Caleb had a couple of car crashes, and he said, but he said, I'm carrying, and they had to follow the protocol. So he was used to getting handcuffed, remove the gun. They take the gun back to the trunk. They unhandcuff him and then talk him what's going on. He knows. He knows. And why did he carry a gun is going to be somebody else's response. Because my father told him, because of his work in the club, that he needed to watch his back for people that might hold a grudge for him kicking them out of the club. So he did have a couple of people follow him one night, and that's why he carried a gun. And he's entitled to. He's entitled.
I don't actually think they do anymore.
What?
Gasparoni has been involved in
Oh,
other
yeah.
shootings.
Gasparoni was asked in this report, in the only interview. Oh, by the way, Jon Stewart was interviewed 10 days later. Gasparoni was interviewed 17 days later. One time. They were only interviewed one time. Gasparoni was asked, have you been involved in something like this before? Gasparoni's response was yes. And then Detective Kelly Patton went on to a totally different subject.
And even after, hadn't he been?
And there's the possibility, we don't know for sure, there's a possibility that he was involved in another officer-involved shooting in Springfield just a few months later, because shortly thereafter, Gasparoni gets transferred out of Springfield. He's no longer here.
Yeah, he's in Texas?
Somewhere in Texas. Jon Stewart's still here, but Gasparoni isn't. Yep, open carry is a right. It is in Missouri. And we're in a very red state. Oh, that is the Chihuahua dog. He whines like a little baby. Thanks, Fubar. Not a problem. Yes. He's going to go let the dogs out. We have a mutt and we have a Chihuahua. And they're just sitting there like dying for attention. So if anybody has any questions, I'm open. Again, if I can answer them, I'll answer them. There's a lot of things I can't answer. What?
Remember that chicken you had?
Oh, dear God. Chet got it, huh?
Yeah, every bit of it.
Sorry, we had Chick-fil-A and I thought I put the remaining of it further up on my cabinet, and our big dog decided he wanted a snack, so he acquired it.
I can't.
Yeah, they ate it. You can't sit down? Well, I'm going to have to go shortly, Terry, because we're going to... please take... I will take them. Yeah, the district attorney, or the prosecuting attorney, I should say, teaches at the police academy, folks. How to shoot and get away with it. That's his class that he teaches them. I know they're being self-sufficient. Oh, I'm sorry. Where's your question at? Hold on. Let me find it. So there's been no investigation because the chief of police is in charge of internal affairs. And not only is he in charge of internal affairs, we have a police citizens review board. He's in charge of what they get to review. And in the 11 years that this board has been in existence, they've investigated one case. The prosecuting attorney has been the prosecuting attorney for, I think, 20 years. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere. It's been a long time. He has only charged an officer with excessive force one time. And the only reason he did is because the person who got shot, and this is quite funny, who got shot in the butt, his name is Mr. Butts, didn't die. So, yeah, that's the only time any officer in the city of Springfield has been charged with excessive force or wrongful discharge of his gun, unlawful discharge of his gun. That's it.
At this rate, we probably shouldn't even be surprised by that, should we?
No. That's just like people die at the jail, and the sheriff makes sure that they get transported and pronounced dead at the hospital so that the Department of Justice doesn't have to come and investigate. Because if you have a death at a jail, it's supposed to automatically trigger a DOJ investigation. So, yeah. Thanks, Roseanne. But we're going to have to get off here in a second, Terry. We got to go pick up our little rat brat girl who's not here tonight. She's at...
Okay, whenever you're ready. I'm sorry, I'm having all kinds of streaming issues. There's a bad lag. I can barely hear what you're saying. So whenever you're ready to stop, just let me know.
I think we're there. And Sue's right. The amount of deaths in Springfield, the amount of officer-involved shootings just in this year alone, and I don't mean in 2023. I mean from this time period last year to now, has tripled. And the police have body cameras. They've only released one to the public. And the chief of police here doesn't believe that it's anybody's business to see the body cams. So, hi, Chris. You know Chris.
Hi, Chris.
So.
All right.
Well, we're done. We love you all. And stay tuned. The best is yet to come.
Well, guys, thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Terry.
I appreciate y'all for being here and giving the update. I know it's rough having to tell the story over and over and over, and I know it's rough answering some of the questions, but I appreciate you so much for doing it. No, and as for everybody out there in the chat, thank you very much for being here with us. Thanks for taking the ride. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with, Tina? Any final thing that you would like to say tonight?
There is, because somebody wants to know, asked me earlier if you're going to go out tonight and audit. The question's for you.
No, I will not be going out tonight to audit. It is pouring the rain. It is terrible weather, and if I go out, all you're going to get to see is raindrops on the windshield anyway. So if you don't want to stare at my my raindropped windshield, there's not much point in me leaving the house tonight. That was why I went ahead and scheduled this. I knew the weather would be bad. It's also what's screwing up the Wi-Fi. But
yeah. Well, I do want to say something.
Is that all you had for us, Tina?
No, Eugene. I just want to say, where is your happy ass? You didn't come. What the hell? Love you, Eugene. So, all right. Thank you, Terry. Thanks everybody in the chat. Just share Justice for Caleb. That's all I ask. The new website's going to be redesigned. I have an actual guy that's doing it that has volunteered his time and his efforts, and it's going to look a lot better than it used to be. It's down right now. And follow my attorneys.
Yep, go follow DeWitt Lacey and
you're going to get some
out.
great stuff coming out of there.
Yep.
So
It's going to be worth it.
love everybody. Can you hit that? Because I can't with my nails.
Well, guys, thanks again for being here. I appreciate it. Everybody out there in the chat, thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the ride with us. I wish you all a grand, soft evening by the look of the rain out there. Everybody have a great night. And for the moment, Ironton Auditor out, and we'll catch you on the next run. Everybody have a good night.